Welcome to the virtual college fair. Thank you for joining us. This session we have Juniata College who will provide great insightful information, and we have panelists from the college that will be able to answer your questions. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of the many different sessions happening, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions. This presentation is also being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website where you registered. And now I'd like to turn it over to Juniata College.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning. My name is Kat Swantak, Assistant Dean of Admission at Juniata, and I'll be presenting for all of you today. I'm accompanied by Terry Boldman-Delansky, Senior Associate Dean of Admission, and Teresa Josen, one of our admission counselors as well. And so we'll be here to hopefully teach you a little bit more about Juniata today. So I'm gonna dive right in. So I always like to start off by answering the question that I always get is, Kat, what kind of student even looks at Juniata, or what kind of student goes to Juniata in the first place? And we've always prided ourselves on having fun, smart, and focused students. And we'll go into how those three descriptors kind of answer that question as the presentation goes on. So a few of the basics before we, really dive into the meat of what makes Juniata so special. We have about 1,500 students on our campus. Our student body is made up of students from 37 different states and 39 different countries. And all of those countries represent all the continents in the United States. Oh my goodness gracious. In the world, except for Antarctica, of course. 30% of our student population are either international or come from an underrepresented population. 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Our average class size is also 19. In terms of student life, we have over 100 clubs and organizations. I think that number is closer to 115 now, but it's always growing. So that's kind of a good number to keep going up. And we also do not have Greek life here on campus. What makes us distinct from other liberal arts colleges? I think this is a great question, not only if you're a student looking at a lot of liberal arts colleges in Pennsylvania, where we're located, because we have so many of them here, but also as a student looking at CTCL schools, because we all have parts of our identities that make us so special. So instead of unique, we like to embrace the fact that what distinguishes us from all these other fabulous schools. So as you probably know, because you're here at a Colleges That Change Lives event, we are proud to be in that book written by Lauren Pope many years ago as one of the, I think it's 44 colleges that change lives now. And we've been in the book since its very first publication. So changing lives ever since Mr. Pope got started writing. And if you don't know, a lot of parents one day, way back before the book was written, were saying, hey, Lauren, who used to be an editor at the New York Times, my kid needs to go to this college that, cares about him or her as a person, has individualized education that embraces their talents and makes it about them. Can you give me a list of these colleges my kid should be applying to? And Lauren said, no. I'm going to write a book instead. And so Lauren Pope spent 2 years traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast, looking at small liberal arts colleges that did just that. And he discovered Juniata, and we've been changing lives ever since. So that is our CTCL story. So in terms of what makes us distinct, the big thing for us is our flexible curriculum education. We don't do majors at Juniata. We do something that's called the program of emphasis. So let me dive into what that kind of means. To break it down and make it digestible, I like to describe it like this. Let's say you go to college and you say, all right, I want to major in biology. they'll say, all right, cool, here's your curriculum list. Here are your 40 requirements. Here are 20 electives you get to pick from. Take them in this order, bing, bang, boom, you're all set, and you have your degree in biology. And that's great. There's a reason we all in the higher education world, we do that. But with a program of emphasis, a POE, we want to take that structure and make it a little more pliable. So think of it this way. You come to Juniata College and you say, hey, I want to do a POE in biology. The first thing that we are going to do is ask you why. Why do you want to study biology? Do you want to go into the medical field? Do you want to go be, like a researcher in a lab? And as like an 18, 19-year-old, you don't really have the answer to that question yet, as much as we think we like to. I'm harkening back to my own experience. So as you're taking courses in college, you start to discover the answer to that question. So a POE in biology would be like, all right, here are 20 things you have to do. You have to do these things, and the rest is like fill in the blank. And so, well, what are you supposed to do with those blank spaces? Another thing that makes us distinct from other colleges is every Juniata student has 2 advisors and not 1. So from day 1, you're working with advisors to help you fill in those blanks and answer that question. Why do I want to study this? What am I passionate about? Where do I see myself after I have my college degree? And so they're partnering with you. You got 3 powerhouse brains working together to individualize your curriculum. And I even like to go so far as to say, isn't that what education's all about? You're paying us all this money to have a life-changing experience, and you should have a degree that truly reflects what you're passionate about and challenges you and helps you start that journey of self-discovery that you're on, if that makes sense. So 2 major things: we do a program of emphasis, and we also have the 2 advisor system at Juniata. In terms of curriculum, we also like to approach the concept of general education a little bit more liberally. Instead of considering your overall area of study curriculum, general education requirements as like a binary system, we like to embrace the fact that all study is interdisciplinary in a way, and there's no one course or one skill that can encapsulate some sort of all-encompassing like general education. So on this slide that you'll see these different what we call like ways of knowing and other sorts of yes, for example, humanistic thought, social inquiry, US experience, local engagement. Those are not like take an English course, take a science course, take a history course. These are larger concepts that students can find a variety of courses that fit that requirement to overall shape their general education curriculum that we like to call the Juniata College curriculum. Importantly, too, your first year, you have a first year composition course and seminar, which makes up your foundations. That first year is really there to solidify that you have the writing skills and critical thinking skills that'll carry you through your college experience. And they're all centered around a certain topic that is interdisciplinary that students can register for. And then by the end of your college experience, you have a capstone project. And also you have a portfolio of all of the work that you were able to complete throughout your 4 years here. Excuse me. So experiential learning and hands-on learning is really important. I think we all kind of know, internships, we need those, right? They're very important, especially now more than ever. And so by the time a student becomes a senior at Juniata, almost 100% of our students have had at least one study abroad experience, internship, hands-on research with a faculty member, or community engagement opportunity or experience. And so this slide kind of illustrates some of the opportunities that our students have. So in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see the Juniata College field station, which is located right next to the largest inland lake in Pennsylvania. It's about 30 minutes from our campus. And it's a research facility that our students use that we have in partnership with the Army Corps of Engineers. A lot of our environmental science students go up there, not only just for class research or researching with faculty, but also we have like think of it like a study abroad or like a study away program up there, where if you're interested in living up at the field station full time and taking courses and doing research, you have that opportunity. And the other picture next to it, you'll see some of our museum study students and art history students looking at, I think we have 700 original works in our collection. Museum studies is one of our very unique programs that we have as well. So working hands-on with those materials that, are the foundation of their study. On the bottom, you'll see some students presenting what we call LAS, which is Liberal Arts Symposium. Liberal Arts Symposium is a very special day on our campus where students, we have no classes that day, and the whole campus takes an opportunity, like as students, to share what they're working on for their thesis, or present on what research that they're working on, or if they're doing a theatrical project, showing that. And all the students, faculty, and staff can go around and just watch in awe of what all of us have been able to accomplish on that day. And then, of course, Juniata has many study abroad opportunities as well. Almost 50% of our of Juniata students study abroad, and very awesomely too, Princeton Review just named us in the top 12 study abroad programs in the country. So I'm sure I have the link somewhere, but I just found that out a couple of days ago, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty awesome. And I think the reason our study abroad numbers are so high, there's a couple of reasons. I think one, usually when you toss around the term study abroad, you think semester or year, semester or year. And that's not necessarily the best fit for a lot of people. I know I'm a little biased because I studied abroad in France for a year and it changed my life and it was the best years of my life, and it was. But at Juniata, we firmly believe that you should have an international experience. Man, go to Europe when you're in college. Just do it. It's a lot of fun. But we have programs that range anywhere from like a spring break service trip to the DR. And there are even students who have studied abroad for a year and planned it to do another semester after that year. There is a program of any duration for any student. I firmly believe that. Some are language immersion, some are research oriented, some are summer programs for like internship opportunities. So we like to break that mold of the stereotypical, you go for a semester or for a year. We also have programs on every continent except Antarctica, but wouldn't that be really cool to finally be able to take that out of the small print in one of our brochures? As well, the important thing too is making study abroad programs accessible and affordable. When you do a Juniata study abroad program, all of your credits are guaranteed to transfer. So you don't need to go through the bureaucratic, oh, I'm going to the registrar. Oh, well, if this credit won't work here, talk to the bursar for that. Juniata programs, we want to break down those barriers for you there, as also your financial aid travels with you when you study abroad. It doesn't cost you a cent more to study abroad. You just have to make sure that you can get that plane ticket and get over there. So it's all about accessibility. And also in terms of internships, this is like a really nifty little map of all the different locations that our students have had internships in the past, in the present, in the future. I think this is really cool to see because sometimes like, oh, you're in Huntington, Pennsylvania, which we'll get to later. Are there only internship opportunities in Pennsylvania? And that's absolutely not true. It spans the entire country, which is really special in my opinion. Now, this is a fun one to talk about. 90% of Juniata graduates say their preparation relates directly to their present job or graduate program. Now, that might seem obvious, right? Oh, well, I did a POE in biology, so it's therefore relevant to my medical school experience right now. But when you get to the heart of this, it's about the process of the POE and the process of getting your education, the fact that you're taking courses in different areas, you're taking courses in different disciplines. You individualize that biology POE of yours, and they're all going on to these places like DC Comics and NASA and Goldman Sachs and these graduate schools like Harvard. It's directly a result to how we approach education at Juniata, which I think is really exciting. Oh, hold on. Okay, so student life is obviously pretty important. Um, Come on, mouse. There we go. Our student body, you probably heard the term, especially if you're looking at small liberal arts colleges, tight-knit community, and we very much are a tight-knit community. And I think one of the best ways to illustrate that is by talking about one of our like 7,000 traditions. We have so many traditions at Juniata, and I'll talk about a couple of them here. The first that I'll talk about up in the upper left-hand corner is Mountain Day. Mountain Day is one day in the fall, and it's no one ever knows when it's going to be. It's a different day every year. Only like the president, the provost, and one other secret person gets to know when Mountain Day is. And one morning at 4 o'clock, you're going to have people banging on your door, blowing air horns, like, it's Mountain Day, it's Mountain Day. And I know that sounds really unpleasant, but it's not, because on Mountain Day, all of your classes are canceled. Your essay that was due that day, it's not due that day. The test that you're going to have, the test is not that day. You get to sleep in, and the whole campus community, staff, faculty, students are bussed up to Raystown Lake for a day of just chilling, being together, having barbecue, going on out kayaking, playing games. And that's why I'm like, that's a tight-knit community. If you ask me, that we give our students a community a day off from their rigorous academics just to celebrate being together, that's pretty awesome. Another one of my favorites is Storming of the Arch. So upper right-hand corner, you'll see some very wonderfully clad students in some costumes. Storming of the Arch is a tradition where first-year students will try to charge Cloister Hall, which is one of our residence halls. It has a giant archway in the middle. The archway is defended by the rugby teams, and legend has it, if you are a first-year student that can break through the rugby teams and get to the other side, you get some sort of legendary prize, like first pick of housing, or free housing for 4 years. No one really knows. So who knows, one of these days someone might actually make it through. Now, this one's my personal favorite. Bottom left-hand corner, this is a picture of our Madrigal dinner. Madrigal is our winter time, like a fancy feast for students. I find it to be particularly special, not only because I like to get dressed up, but it's a time where students get served by faculty and staff members. Like, we are the serving staff. And we connect with you all on that way, in the sense that, like, you've given so much to us. So in celebration of being a community, we want to serve you your dinner, and we sing Christmas carols. I could go on forever about how the 12 days of Christmas becomes a very competitive thing. But it really just is a wonderful, like, quiet moment. Well, I guess it's not really quiet when we get to the 5 golden rings part, but that's me going off on the deep end, for us all just to celebrate being together at the end of the semester. And on the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a very cute lobster balloon. This is Lobster Fest. Lobster Fest is a tradition that we have in the fall. Consider it like a gigantic outdoor activities fair / steak and lobster feast dinner situation. It's a more I like to think relaxed and fun activity fair, where all of our student organizations have like booths and tables outside. There's music going. So if you say, hey, oh, the B team, what's the B team? It's literally our beekeeping group. Like, they keep bees, they're apiarists. You could just go over to them and ask them what they do. And then we all just lounge on the lawn and have a picnic after. And that's just like half of them. We have so many more. Now, in terms of athletics, Juniata College is a Division III school. We have 23 varsity sports. We also have recently added men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse as of 2 years ago. We also have men's and women's golf. About a third of our students are involved in varsity athletics. In terms of conferences, for all sports, we are in the Landmark Conference, but for football, we are in the Centennial Conference. So I've been mentioning Huntington a lot, and so I want to go a little more in depth about where we are. Huntington to me, and I think to all of us, is not a college town. It is a town with a college. Huntington was founded in 1769, while Juniata was founded in 1876. Got it. So Huntington has had a rich history long before Juniata was ever there. And when Juniata was founded in Huntington, we created this really wonderful symbiotic relationship where, while we have separate identities, we are engaged together in a whole bunch of different ways. Like our students go into Huntington all the time, not only to enjoy the town, but for internship opportunities and jobs, while we'll host events on our campus for the whole borough of Huntington. In terms of fun stuff to do, here you'll see a lot of our downtown historic places. My two favorite are pictured here. You'll see a photo of Boxer's Cafe, one of the most beloved restaurants in town. It is your comfort food, but you could also get like vegan and vegetarian options. It's just a warm atmosphere. And if you are of the age, they have a wonderful rotation of draft beers. The other place that I love to go to is Standing Stone Coffee Company. That is the bottom right-hand picture there. It is a independently owned coffee shop owned by Juniata alums, actually, and they sell organic fair trade coffee. They even visit the countries where their beans are being grown to check on things. It's crazy. They also have local art hung up there. There are washing machines and dryers. If you can do your laundry down there, they have open mics and stuff. And since it's only a couple of blocks from campus, it is a very big hotspot for Juniata students and staff and faculty alike. This is a beautiful aerial shot of which I think is kind of interesting. Like I was talking about before, how Huntington is not a college town; it's a town at the college, in the sense that you can't really see where town begins and college ends. In a way, like of course you can see where the football field and stuff is. That's kind of where campus is, but you can't really tell like where our border stops and Huntington start. This is an image kind of the of Racetown Lake that I was talking about before. Terry and Teresa, who are joining me, are actually alums, so they could tell better stories about this than I can, but there is a location called The Cliffs by the lake near campus that is like an overlook for you to be able to see it's a beautiful view, all of of Racetown Lake and the Allegheny Mountains that we are in Huntington. So here's the fun stuff, right? How do I apply? Well, let's dive into that, shall we? So here's our application process. We have 4 different deadlines. Well, let me back that up really quick. And it looks like my fonts got kind of mixed up, so I apologize for the scrunched up nature of all this. We have 2 different applications. We use the coalition application as well as the common application. We have 4 different application deadlines to keep in mind. So our early decision deadline is November 15th. Our early action deadline is, we have 2 of them. The first is December 1st. The second early action deadline is January 15th. And our regular decision deadline is March 15th. It's typical for us when we receive your application and all of your materials. So we have your application and your test scores if you submitted them, and your recommendation letters and transcripts. Once we have all of that, you will typically hear a response from us, an admission response from us within 4 to 6 weeks. Of course, that's not a guarantee. Now, great things about applying to Juniata is we don't have an application fee, so save your $50. We're test optional, which we have been for 2 decades, but it's ever more important now. So if you feel like your test scores don't accurately represent your academic abilities, you don't have to submit them. We also don't require any supplemental materials, no extra essays or portfolios or anything like that. We also, which I'll go more in depth into in a bit, we use a form called the FAFSA when awarding need-based financial aid. You can see our code there is 003279. The FAFSA is live now, and we always suggest that, especially since it's available now, the sooner you can get it in, the better. So just by applying to Juniata, you're applying for merit scholarships. So there's no extra application or paperwork that you have to do in terms of applying for merit-based aid. When we're looking at an admission decision for a student, like on the admission side of things, where you do a very holistic review, where everything matters, of course, and we're very diligently looking at everything you put on your application. But when it comes to awarding merit aid, we have to get a little bit more granular. So we're looking at your transcript and also the rigor of your classes and your improvement and the types of courses you've taken. If your school ranks, we'll take a look at your class rank. If you submitted test scores, we'll look at those as well. And then, of course, my favorite is the Common App essay. So we look at all of this information, and based off of that information, we will award you a merit scholarship. This year, I believe they range from 24 to 34,000. I know that we just proofed our new financial planning brochure, so I have to get that down, but I know that's at least close. Now, when you receive your acceptance letter, the great news is you will see that merit scholarship award amount in the acceptance letter. So it's like, boom, boom, good news, good news. Also, whatever that merit scholarship award amount is guaranteed every year for 4 years. So it's not going anywhere. And you know that is, it's a comfort that should things financially change, whether at the college or for your family, that is a guaranteed scholarship for you. An opportunity that I really love to talk about is our Juniata Community Scholarship. So if you know a Juniata alum or a parent of a Juniata student, you have the opportunity to connect with them. And if they fill out the brief scholarship form, you will receive a $1,000 scholarship in their name every year for 4 years. And if you have more questions about that too, or any of the financial aid information, our financial planning office contact information is right there at the bottom of this slide. Also, especially now, it's the beginning of the application cycle. You can visit our net price calculator. We'll ask you for a little bit of information, like about your grades and test scores, or also some of your financial situation background, and we can give you a rough estimate of what your financial aid award could look like should you apply and be admitted to Juniata. So I feel like I've been rambling for like a very long time. I do my best to be thorough, but I always like to make sure I leave plenty of time to answer any questions or go through more information or elaborate on anything that I had not touched on. If anyone has anything.
There are no questions currently in the Q&A. Annabelle, if you are present, there was a question from one of our participants about scanning the Juniata code. Can you explain a little bit to answer that question about scanning the Juniata code?
Yeah, absolutely. So there actually, you don't need to scan a code. The student's registration is all the student needs. So once the student registered for this session, then Juniata will receive the student's information and can follow up with additional information or just reach out to the student. So no code needs to be scanned, and that information will just be passed on to that college.
So the student who asked questions about whether that code was working had to have scanned it prior to the presentation?
No, actually just their attendance, registering for this session and logging in and so forth, that's all the student needed to do. So there's no additional scanning that is required.
Okay, so thank you for that answer. So there was, so the student who had asked about how to make that scanning work, just by registering and getting on with us today, you are registered for this event, and we will get your name and information.
Speaking of name and information, oh, come on. I'm supposed to, there we go. This is mine. If there are no other questions, I want to thank all of you who have joined to listen to me blather on a Saturday morning to talk about the college that I know and love. If you have any questions about anything this crazy lady was talking about, my email address is here, as well as my phone number. And should you choose to reach out, I'd be happy to connect you with your personal admission counselor, or a faculty member, or anyone who can answer any specific questions that you may have. So thank you again, and thank you, Terry and Teresa, for joining me this morning. And yes, thank you so much.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you to our panelists that were able to provide such great information. I just want to share just some quick follow-up announcements. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. And also, this is just one of the many sessions happening, so be sure to sign up for any additional sessions. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recordings, as well as any other sessions that you've attended at the same place where you registered. So again, I thank our panel for their time this morning, and thank you for joining us. Have a great day.